Hey everybody, what's up? Let's hold the truth hostage where if the truth was so important, we wouldn't negotiate with lies. We would hold the truth hostage. Now, this video is a response to, something Tony Bruno said, like probably 2 weeks ago. Tony said he's not black pilled. He's not red pilled. He's the Tony pill, aka he said he's the adaptive pill. And the reason I want to respond to this, and shout out to Tony Bruno, the reason is that I think Tony brought up something we don't bring up in the manosphere, and that's basically the will to adapt. I mean, if you look at the manosphere, one of the main messages you'll get from the manosphere, and a lot of people reference this, is that a lot of men in the manosphere are referencing the past. They want the matriarchy from the 1950s, all the social dynamics from the past, 1940s and so on, And what this has proven, and what Tony Bruno is actually correct about, is that this brings up the question that most men are not willing to adapt. And what I think Tony Bruno's speaking about when he says the adaptive pill, and why I think it's a very important thing to speak about, is we talk about the whole pills, like I said, society will naturally make you purple pilled. I mean, the majority of society is purple pilled. And, the new one I found out, the pink pill, which is the super effeminized man, the man that's super hyper effeminized and will try to synchronize with his woman by not seeming to be a man, by basically being as though he's a female dating her, basically being I forget the word, being a substitute for a lesbian relationship. And you'll see that in a lot of effeminized men, where they try to feel and try to synchronize their emotion with the woman. That's what the pink pill is. It's basically a hyper effeminized man that seeks all the long-term relationship aspects of the purple pill, except extremely feminized. We see this a lot with rappers, men that are crying, and men that will openly use emotion to try to communicate with their woman. But let's get back to the facts. The thing is that what Tony brings up with this adaptive pill is, it's probably the bridge, is how many men are willing to adapt to the society they're in. How many men are willing to adapt? And if you look at the manosphere, one of the major aspects of it, the major message you hear from the men that aren't willing to adapt and accept what their society currently is that these men will continue to speak of the time before. Kind of like the land before feminism times, the land before feminism times. That's what you'll hear a lot of men speak of. We need to go back, the kitchen, the women cooking, cleaning, all this stuff. Basically, it's beginning to sound like a lot of men crying and just teary-eyed that they were born in the wrong time. That's basically what you hear. And what Tony brings up with this whole Tony pill, aka the adaptive pill, and you gotta be willing to give a man his credit. He thought of this, and it's an honor to call it the Tony pill, aka the adaptive pill. We can't be afraid to honor our brothers up here, man. What I'm saying? Because we're so driven by, we only honor celebrities and what the mainstream deems should be notarized and known by so many, But what Tony brings up, we don't ask about, is how many men are really willing to adapt. You know, how many men are willing to be honest and look at the society they're in and accept it for what it is? You know, accept the fact that you get into a long-term relationship, that the inevitable side effect of commitment will be that you as a man will submit to the female's leadership and her will, you know, which will determine whether you're allowed to continue within that relationship and whether you're allowed to leave unscathed, unharmed, financially, you know, emotionally, and so on. So how many men are willing to adapt and accept the truality? I don't like to use reality because, you know, reality can be altered. You know what I'm saying? The truality is that, you know, where times have changed. You know, we're no longer in those moments anymore. We're no longer in a society where the days of old matter. You know, and another thing is, when you talk to a lot of men in the manosphere, you could hear it in their voice. You can hear what they're saying, that they're yearning for a time gone, time long lost. I mean, it's been lost since the 60s. You know, that's how far this whole thing's been lost. A lot of guys say, well, you know, some guys, their memories are warped, you know, because they have a nostalgic, you know, remembrance. But dude, the whole thing, the male and female dynamics has been destroyed since the 60s. You know, the whole free love movement was actually was a Trojan horse to actually remove free love. You know what I'm saying? There's no such thing as free love anymore, because love now, it's all about the conditions that a society puts on and the conditions that a propaganda deems acceptable. You know what I mean? For example, the picket white fence, the whole you know, all the aspects that have been put on it are based on what society deems acceptable, and we all know society now is driven completely by capitalism. And as I stated, we no longer have a government. We have a god verment, or a goon verment. You know what I'm saying? A government is restraint. Government is basically a god-like figure now, you know. But to stay on subject is that those days have long since gone. Once the option was available to break the dynamics between man and woman, that means it was over. It was done. So you look at the 1960s, I think 69 was when they passed, you know, his fault divorce. His fault. You know what I mean? That destroyed and then you could even watch it from the movie Divorce Corp, that you could see that as soon as that was passed, divorce was on the rise. You know, it escalated. You know, and then the fulfillment that the propaganda was pushing, you know, the euphemism, whatever. Euphemism was all about, you know, putting a woman's mind to the point that freedom is through working and being in a corporation. That being at home is the actual enslavement. You know, enslavement is you being at home for 8 hours, cooking and cleaning for your family that's gonna love you and care for you and aren't with you based on the hours and shifts you're working. You know what I'm saying? That's slavery. But they've put that freedom as you clocking into a job and going to and being around people that don't really care beyond the hours you're working for them. You know, so that's where we're at. And a lot of guys aren't able to do what Tony's saying, is adapt. You know, and I think that's one aspect we don't actually consider in the whole, you know, Pill-Losophy thing. You know, I was doing extensive videos on, you know, the new pills, you know, the holy white pill, you know what I'm saying, the white pill, the yellow pill, the orange pill, the gold pill, the gray pill, the dark gray pill. You know, there's a lot more to go, but what we don't add up is, what if a man, for example, is purple pilled? You know, he's purple pilled and you present to him black pill knowledge. and he's unable to adapt. You know what I'm saying? He's unable to internalize and absorb that knowledge, because it would mean that has to adapt to what exists outside of his thought process. You know, that's one thing we don't put up in the manosphere, we don't talk about, and it becomes more of a, you're either in or out, and we don't add in the middle, that the bridge to these ideologies is the ability to adapt. And we don't add up that most men cannot adapt to the truth. You know, they can't adapt to what's occurring and what's actually existing beyond this reality they've determined to live by, which is the purple pill. Because to me, like I tell guys, dude, the blue pill is rare. The blue pill only exists in children. You know what I'm saying? Somebody that is completely ignorant to the laws and has never heard a contradicting aspect. Like, they've never heard anybody present to them divorce statistics or divorce rate or anything, alimony. That is rare. That is extremely rare to non-existent. You know what I mean? We're in a purple pill / pink pill society. You know what I mean? You either have those men that are, you know, seeking out marriage with the understanding of divorce, or you have the pink pill guys that are seeking out marriage by literally being effeminized and playing the role of somewhat of a female's best friend that she can date and have a child with. And we see that. That's the society we're in. That's the majority. So even if you present these ideas towards them, you know what I mean? And I apologize myself for thinking that way. You know, that, you know, just obtaining the knowledge will basically alter him. Like, basically, one thing I was suggesting is, if that you offer a guy the black pill knowledge and he's purple pilled, he doesn't accept it, you know, he becomes gray pilled. But in actuality, if said person cannot adapt to anything you're saying, they'll remain purple pilled. You know what I mean? It's gonna go, well, what's that old saying? In one ear and out of the other. So they won't even adapt or absorb your knowledge. You know, they just look at it as you're some type of idiot or some type of delusional person, because you're trying to break their reality. So we have to say that in actuality, what Tony means is that this adaptive pill is basically what lies between any man accepting or being able to accept the information you're giving them. So if a man can't mentally adapt to what you're telling them, then they won't be able to accept anything. So they'll remain where they're at, you know. So there has to be a bridge between the information we're giving men, and the bridge is basically that ability to adapt. And a lot of men, as we see in the manosphere, from the red pill community to the purple pilled community, the newly discovered yellow pill community. And as I said, the yellow pill is basically men that have basically, after receiving the red pill knowledge, have become completely and absolutely terrified of society. You know, the risk, taking any risk isn't worth it at all. So they remain yellow pilled. The yellow pill is actually a man becoming absolutely terrified and horrified by society. And a lot of these guys get mistaken for incels, whatever. They're just so terrified of, you know, being a victim of society's biased laws that they don't participate at all. You know what I'm saying? That's the yellow pill. Then you have the orange pill, which are those guys that were yellow pilled, and now they see that this knowledge you've offered them, the black pill, as basically threatening their survival. Basically, you're threatening the fact that this illusion exists far beyond this country, that there is no escaping it. You know, they internalize it so much. You know what I'm saying? The black pill knowledge actually turns the yellow pill or orange, and you'll see these guys. These are the guys that basically get offended by men seeking out solutions outside of the society. They're the men that will shame you for traveling. For shout out to QB, that most likely that was exposed to manosphere. Exposed to manosphere, odds are, is an orange pillar, you know what I'm saying, where he can't accept any solution outside of this society. Maybe that's what he is, you know what I mean? And then you got the gray pillar. The gray pillar is a guy who just receives the black pill knowledge, but still chooses to return to society, tries to live within that society with the knowledge that exists from the outside in, so they're gray pilled. You know what I mean? They somewhat mirror the purple pilled guys. They're still seeking out relationships and validation, but the difference is they have that black pill knowledge, you know what I'm saying? And then you have the dark gray pill guys, which exist in a state of constant depression, and their entire goal is to keep men depressed and tell men that their lives are over because they can't accept and they can't achieve and obtain any validation from the society. So, from what I'm looking at, man, I think the adaptive pill that Tony is talking about is basically the bridge. And how many men can actually walk on that bridge and adapt? How many men can just accept the truality we live in? The truality that we're not going back to the 1940s or whatever they perceive to be the dream of their, existence. The moment where they think that, it was a patriarchy and, man was living so well, so, and a lot of these men, even if you bring it up that it no longer exists domestically, they will basically, turn it down, and they won't be able to accept it, and they won't be able to adapt to the truality they exist in and accept that, we're not going backwards. This is modern day, this is the society we're in, and you have to accept it and move on. A lot of these men cannot adapt, in the words of the Tony pill, aka the adaptive pill. A lot of these men can't adapt and accept it, so they remain, and they remain in like a twilight zone like state, you know what I'm saying, where they're basically trapped in a delusional state where they can't abandon or move outside of it. That's why when you talk to a purple pilled guy, even if you drop all this black pill knowledge or gold pill knowledge or whatever on them, they can't accept it because it exists beyond their delusion, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of guys can't adapt. They can only hunt and seek out a moment in time that no longer exists, and we see the majority of these guys. We see a lot of guys in the red pill, purple pill, pink pill, gray pill, dark gray pill. We see a lot of guys that cannot accept that, dude, these times are gone. We're in the modern time, we're in the current time, and the current rules are what it is, and you're not changing it. A lot of men will tell you, well, brothers, we gotta fight, we gotta change it, and that right there is complete and absolute level of delusion, because how can men go against a government that has trillions of dollars, then go against the female vote, you know what I'm saying, that is basically the way to bypass the male vote, then go against the feminized men, the pink-pilled men, the red-pilled men, and the purple-pilled men. It's basically, it's an impossible mission. It's basically dropping one soldier with a pistol. You're dropping one soldier and a pistol at a camp base where everybody is armed with rocket launchers, heat-seeking missiles. That guy's dead, man. The odds of him surviving, the odds of him surviving are extremely low to non-existent. You know what I'm saying? That's what you're dropping a guy at. In actuality, let's rephrase it. You drop a guy with a pistol in a heavily nuclear, nuclear radiation base. and all he has is a pistol, and that base is a good 50 miles of of nuclear waste. Let's see if he survives. You know, that's what you're telling guys. That's how delusional these guys are, man. That time no longer exists. And what Tony brings up with the Tony pill, aka the adaptive pill, let me just say the Tony pill, the adaptive pill, is that can men adapt? And if you look at it, the majority, I'd say about over a good 70% of men in the manosphere can't. Because like I said, the majority of the manosphere are either purple pilled or, the newly they're pink pilled. Or, then there's the red pill and the gray pill, whatever. The majority are trapped seeking out a moment in time that no longer exists. It legally can't exist domestically. And what Tony's bringing up with the Tony pill and, the adaptive pill is, can you accept the truality you're living in, and can you adapt and accept the accountability that comes with society? It's kind of like the guys that will get married and say, well, we had a traditional relationship, we had this and that. All this delusion, you know what I'm saying? All this delusion that there's a traditional relationship when legally that's not possible. That's not possible at all, to have a traditional relationship where the man has any authority. That's basically a man going into a relationship in a state of delusion. State of delusion, basically. And that's what you see with most marriages. The guy basically, dilutes his mind to believing that he's in a traditional relationship, that there's potential. But in truality, it isn't. It is not traditional, and he's delusional. You know what I'm saying? And I think what Tony's saying is, can most men adapt? Can they adapt to the truality of what's going on? And what you'll come to find is that they can adapt. That they're so conditioned to be delusional that even in a long-term relationship, they'll still be invested in it through that delusion. So in actuality, what Tony's saying is, man, the majority of men cannot adapt, and that, even if you offer this knowledge, the black pill, the whatever, I was in one of Tony's streams. He's not lying. He's an adaptive man, that he will accept our counter arguments and, the different level of knowledge we bring in, and he accepts it, but he will remain in his beliefs and be accountable for it. He'll adapt and move accordingly. He'll be adaptive to it. Even though you bring some black pill knowledge, he'll accept some of it, and move on. And that's why I'd say a lot of guys, technically a lot of guys are gray pilled, man. And it's not, shout out to BRP, it's not a negative to be a gray pill when you're not a dark. The dark gray pill is the true negative. But I'd say most guys tend to either be gray pilled, and if they're religious, they're white pilled, or they've ascended and they're holy white pilled. Actually, that's actually a better name for it. They're holy white pilled, where their religion comes above all truality. All truth beyond their religion does not mean anything so long as they can practice their faith. But I think what Tony brings up is a huge dynamic in the community. How many men are willing to just adapt and accept the truality we live in, man, the truth of the world? And most aren't, man. Most are trapped in delusion. And the other thing is, you present this, most will not accept that it was the law back then. You know, you going back to 1940s or 50s isn't because of the time period, it's because of the law. And when you present to these guys, yo, you can go to another country and find the laws, you know, that exist this way, but they can't, you know. One of the major aspects of the manosphere, we talk about, you know, guys talk about the red pill rage, you know. And what guys don't understand is the red pill rage is really a shock. It's really a shock that you have a culture shock moment where, you know, and the reason we call it a red pill rage is because it's about, you know, determining and defining that it takes place domestically within your country. So it's really a man achieving a culture shocking event where he looks at his life and says, man, I've been trying to get, you know, I've been prepared to start a family here. Been prepared to do all this long-term investment in the country, and it's not possible. You know, I can't guarantee my kids will have a father in their life. Can't guarantee my kids will have a stable family. Nothing's guaranteed. The only thing I can guarantee these children, if I bring them into this world, is that they will eventually lose everything. You know what I'm saying? And there might be some guys say, well, you know, my parents, you know what I mean? And it might be 20 years from now. It might be 30 years, but the children will eventually lose that image of a stable family. You know, it's inevitable. So, you know, that's what's going on. That's what the red pill rage is. It's really a culture shocking event that a man realizes that he cannot start a family in his country. You know, he can't do it. You know, that's what happens. He just can't do it. And he has to learn to live with that. You know, that's what happens with the red pill rage in reality. You know, and a lot of men will, like I said, the world naturally red pills a man. The world has all the truth. The world does not lie about they don't even hide the statistics of divorce. I mean, it's on television shows. You know what I mean? It's on television shows. It's, you know, purple pill is all over. You know, they tell you, they show you all this. They even give you black pilled information in you know, in the society we're in. They just don't want you to live by it. You know what I'm saying? I don't want you to live by that information. I want you to remain a purple pilled, or the push now is to be pink pilled, where a man is absolutely submissive and completely absorbed by his effeminate aspects of living. You know what I mean? So that's what's going on. You know, the majority of men, you're either purple pilled or you're super effeminized male, which is your pink pilled man. You know, and the whole pill theory has to do with male issues. You know, and the only pill that has to do with women is the birth control pill, which, you know, if you didn't see my last stream, shout out to David Little and Woody. We were on there and we discussed it, man. The major issue women are facing are the birth control pill, but that's for another conversation. But check that out. Check out that stream. But basically what Tony brings up is, man, most men aren't willing to adapt, man, because you bring in, for example, you know, QB, shout out to QB. QB will tell men, yo, you know, you can't obtain a effeminate woman here in a domestic country. And if she is effeminate, it's probably a bait. It's bait to get you involved in a relationship so you can submit to her. I mean, that's what's happened to this country now, where, you know, femininity is seen as weakness. You know, it's seen as weakness. It's promoted as weakness from women. It's basically telling women that being a woman is weak and being a slave. So women are completely against it. You know what I'm saying? That's the majority. That's why you see the whole I can't, and a lot of men don't get this when they hear this, where a woman says, I don't need no man. When she says that, she's basically saying, I only need the government, and I only need the authority of the government. You know what I'm saying? That's the reverse psychology of that term that most men are critically thinking and able to, talk about, So that's what's going on, is that, man, we live in a time, like I said, QB will tell guys, yo, man, this femininity you're looking for, the ability to start a family and, be a leader as a male, it's gonna be outside. It's gonna be overseas. It's not gonna be here domestically. You're not gonna get it here. It's experience. You're gonna have to go overseas to experience that and maintain that, So a lot of guys can't accept that, man. They can't live or can't adapt to that truth, can't take the adaptive pill. They can't adapt, and you'll see a lot of these men trapped in this delusion, this delusional zone, that goes against the truality of things, and they will basically run around in circles. It's like they're trapped in the twilight zone, That's why you see these men and you look in their eyes and they're like machines. They're just, they're trapped in their delusion. There's nothing that exists outside of this delusion. This delusion they live by, and they can't be accountable. That's why you'll see all these men, you're blaming the women, for the destruction of your relationship when you already knew the power she had. You already knew what was at risk, but it breaks the fabric of that illusion you're living in. So, shout out to Tony Bruno, with the adaptive pill, is that, man, most men cannot adapt and will not adapt. They will live and die by this delusion. Because the truth is very simple, man. If you can adapt to the truth, I'm going to start using that. Adapt, because, if you can't adapt and accept the truth, man, you're only going to exist in turmoil and, of course, victimhood. You can't be a victim if you volunteer. Let me repeat that. You can't be a victim if you volunteer. Let me say that one more time. You can't be a victim if you volunteer. You knew what was going to happen. So how are you a victim? It's just that delusion. So, shout out to Tony Bruno, man. That adaptive pill is real. And most men will not and cannot adapt. They're trapped in that delusion, and it's the honest truth is, man, they're heading towards a path of destruction, and they're going to blame others. They'll blame their woman. They'll blame their friends. Yo, why didn't you stop me from getting married? Dude, you're a grown man. I'm not gonna stop nothing. I'm gonna tell you what's going on, and you do what you gotta do. So the adaptive pill is real, man. It's in the words of MD, man, it's brutal. It's brutal if you don't accept the adaptive pill and you can't adapt. If you're a man that's fighting against adapting, it's kind of like being an animal that's seeking to go extinct. You're against adapting to the world and what's going on, so you're seeking extinction. That's what the majority of men are, seeking a time that no longer exists. And if you're seeking a moment in time that no longer exists, then you're seeking to not exist yourself. You're seeking extinction. That's the majority. Sad to say, the majority of men are purple-pilled, pink-pilled, and gray-pilled and red-pilled. The majority of men and dark gray-pilled here and there. So majority of men are, sad to say, man, they're seeking extinction. The only men that will be freed in this society are, shout out to the black manosphere, the, SYSBM, save yourself, black man, the origin of the black pill. You know what I'm saying? And the only men that will be saved will be the men that save yourself, black man, men that put themselves first, as they should, and the men that take the black pill and eventually take the gold pill and become a global-minded man. Once you're global-minded, you no longer have domestic disputes or domestic issues because you're looking at the world from a global perspective. So, a lot of men, man, a lot of men are going to have to take this, those that don't take the black pill or don't believe in a save yourself black man or put yourself first man or take the black pill or the gold pill, they're basically seeking extinction. It's, what I mean? And that's the thing is that, you can still, you make your choice. And in the words of Tony Bruno, you got to adapt and accept accountability. And a lot of men are living in a delusion where they'll blame their wife for the divorce. They'll blame everybody else to deny accountability for the fact that, you put yourself in his place, man. You put yourself in his hole. You know what I mean? You put yourself in this hole, be it for your fictional idealization of love, you know what I mean? Where you blinded yourself and ignored all the legal ramifications. Or you've gotten into a long-term relationship and you don't accept the ramifications that you'll have to submit. A lot of guys don't get it, that long-term relationship is basically about male submission. That's all it is. That's what it's become now because you don't lead the relationship anymore. So it's all about submitting, But shout out to Tony Bruno, man. The adaptive pill is real. It's true. It ain't real, it's true. And most men will not be able to adapt because to adapt means to take accountability. And if you look at the manosphere, most men are preaching, we need, let me put the old man, we need to return to the olden days, the moments where man was the leader of the household. Need to return to the America of old. We need to return to the America of old. And only then, only then can we live and be the leaders of our family. We must return to the olden ways. The olden days of the 1940s and the 30s, the 20s, and the 10s. We must return to the olden ways of America. We must return. Yeah, so you can see, man, you're seeking to return to a time period that no longer exists. So you're basically seeking extinction. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're seeking for something that no longer exists and can legally not exist, I mean, we're in a government with no restraint. The government has limited to no restraint, so you're seeking a moment in time that no longer exists, so, this has been a hold the truth hostage where if the truth was so important, we wouldn't negotiate with lies. We would hold the truth hostage.